Okay, the day we dreaded has come. Time to get into Discovery Season 3. That was one of the stupidest hours of television I've ever had to sit through. And considering the previous 2 years of Discovery, that's saying something. Let's see. We got kind of a recap of the previous couple of seasons, which was a bit, much to sit through anyway. Where we see little Mikey Spock do her little Iron Man routine and lead the Discovery into the far future to prevent Control from taking over, even though they'd already defeated Control. And of course now we get to the far, far future, where we got kind of a Star Wars-esque chase scene going through a debris field or whatever, and one guy arguing with another one and shooting at him, and then here comes the wormhole, and out comes Mikey Spock, showing that she could screw up a wet dream in all of the universe. She slams into this guy's ship, and she does a little Iron Man did in distress thing, goes tumbling on down, and somehow survives the crash. And, promptly tries to contact Discovery, and nothing shows up. And, I don't know, something with the wormhole, but for some reason, with basically her own personal starship at her disposal here, instead of using this thing to go try and find Discovery, no, she sends it up into the worm to self-destruct, stranding herself on planet Iceland. Remember, who knows how many millions of dollars I spent shooting in Iceland. What the hell, Alex? Not your money, right? And then runs into the guy whose ship she crashed, and never mind the fact that he's twice her size and, supposedly a capable fighter of his own, she somehow kicks his ass. Right. Sure. And it's just, after all this, I don't want to know you, don't do anything, and then finally he lets her on board the ship, and of course, some little thing about them. Somehow, about 150 years earlier in this timeline, the Federation just suddenly kind of fell apart because one day, most of the lithium in the universe blew up. I don't think Kurtzman ever really never bothered to find out just what does dilithium do in a warp reactor. It's they worked this out. You can call up Rick Sternbach or Michael Kuda. I've got their email address. You can do their fan page, whatever. It's because of their crystalline structure that enables them to withstand being in a matter-antimatter reaction and focus of the material. This is not something that's going to just blow up. And it's not something that you can just induce to blow up clear across the galaxy. Oh, that's another thing. We were introduced to some little functionary who every day just gets up and assembles his desk and appears to be scanning the entire galaxy, because he's not just again at the end they said doing these sectors. That's an entire galaxy you're scanning there. That's not the rim or the outer rim. No, you're the picture of the entire galaxy, and it's it's like so. I get the feeling Kurtzman didn't score well in science class, or creative writing, or anything. It's just anyway. They have to go to a local market to try and trade for some dilithium. The idea is, well, since Burnhams now have these ancient artifacts on her, or tricorder, or phaser. The idea is go to the mercantile and try and trade for some dilithium, what little is left. Apparently the Andorians and the Orions are working together. The Andorians still have extra horny stuff that they didn't have before. The Andorians have the sort of big, and the Orions are now more of a greenish gold. Not just green, like no, they're kind of metallic looking. So okay, whatever. And of course, then the fact that every time we've seen Andorians and Orions before, the eyes look normal. Now, no, suddenly now have weird little contacts to make them look even weirder. The only alien that looked perfectly normal was the Lurian they had there. The same guy as Morn. That's the only one they kind of got right. Everyone else is like, At least there weren't any cling marks. But the little thing while they're interrogating her, they shoot her with some stuff, and suddenly Burnham's all giggly and laughy and stuff, and I was not amused. She doesn't do silly well, okay? Every actor has a range, and no, silly and goofy is not in Sonequa Martin's screen repertoire, especially with this idiotic dialogue there. She's starting to try and act like Tilly. And even Tilly gets annoying after a while. So, and then you get, because by now they have little personal transporters. Well, alright, fine. So after a little thing of beam up, and being chased around all over Iceland. I wonder if Iceland knew what they were getting into when they let these guys on there. Oh, and it's also supposed to be because apparently this guy Book, which makes me wonder. Did you guys talk to Joss Whedon here? The big black mysterious guy named Book. You think maybe someone's watched a little too much Firefly? But apparently this guy Book also has himself a Maine Coon cat. I mentioned Maine Coon. The cat is huge. And only Maine Coons I know get that big. Named Grudge. Ooh, it's a kitty cat. Yeah, that's supposed to forgive all the other sins. No, doesn't happen. The cat has no control over the show. He has no, so here's the cat. A very large cat, but a cat. Okay. And they're still, every once in a while, trying to send out contacts to contact the Discovery. And of course, temporal mechanics being what it was, the ship could have taken a left turn somewhere inside the wormhole, and it might show up next week. It might show up in 1,000 years, or it could have showed in, a couple hundred years ago. Who knows? And for some reason, Burnham has this thing about having to recite her serial number repeatedly, and something. Even when she sends off her ship to go boom, she's sitting there reciting her name, rank, and serial number, and it's like she's acting like she's been on a desert island for like 6 months or whatever, and is trying to go. It's only been a couple of minutes since you left the big fight with the Klingons on the control or whatever. And it's like, no. But then after all is said and done, and then, Burnham and Book are buddy all of a sudden, and they have a bit of an animal rights bit where they're returning this kind of giant worm thing, which, saves the day by eating the bad guys, back to his habitat where they can frolic around with the other giant kind of sea worm things. And I wonder if there's a bit in there, I think they may have been ripping off Lower Decks a bit, where it actually gobbles down Burnham for a short time, but coughs her back up, covered in sick. So it's like, So that's on the the moment. No, don't worry, it's just suckling on you for a bit. Yeah. So, I wish there were beer. Okay. But they managed to find the wreckage of some, old Federation outpost, which is where this guy has been getting up and going to his desk and sitting there and waiting. I don't know what happened. Must have been a core breach or something, or reactor breach. Okay. bases and stuff like that generally run on fusion reactors. Matter-antimatter was for the high-energy applications like warp drive. But a station where you're not going to be, flinging yourself across the galaxy, fusion reactors. And you don't really have a breach with a fusion reactor. Something goes where it just kind of shuts down. Okay? That's kind of why everyone's trying to figure it out, because it is cheap and safe and, But now they're going to try, and start scanning. They can't find... They've only got 2 Federation ships out there. Wow, the Federation's not completely fallen, is it? They still got a couple of ships. They got this station, and this guy pulls out this flag. It's been in his family for generations. Now, mind you, earlier on, they said the Federation kind of fell apart 150 years ago. That's only a few generations there. This flag comes out, and it's only got 6 stars. If this flag has been in this family for generations, it should be the whole, how many stars normally seal has. So something's off here. Again, it's another case of they didn't think it through. Most of this show has been they never thought things through. It's like, dramatic music and slow moving and everyone talking, and it's like, this doesn't make any freaking sense. The people are still acting like utter morons. And we got a thing, and everyone looking all victims important, and Burnham handing out a commission to make this guy an actual communications officer. It's like, 1, you don't have the authority, and 2, who cares? He's been doing it all this time anyway without anything. Everyone being so self-important. And they display the flag. It'll be committed by a commissioned officer. Since when? The guy working the fry station at McDonald's can take a couple minutes and put the flag out front. Okay? What is this thing about only a commissioned officer? Bull. That's the lowest duty. Okay? It's not officers that work on military bases that put the flag up every day. It's a couple of privates or a couple of airmen. You got a couple of sailors that hoist the flag up every, the mast every day. It's not a commissioned officer. He's just making crap up at this point. This is bribe bull crap. Yeah. And then of course we got to wrap it up with a tease from coming this season on Star Trek Discovery, and we got to look at the rest of the ship. It's going to be another thing. It's going to be like 2 or 3 episodes before we finally see Discovery again. Knowing the fact the show is called Discovery. Where's the Discovery? Yeah. And so we got a protracted lead in to what is going to be, I'm calling it right, is going to be a ripoff of Andromeda. And Dylan Hunt's quest to rebuild the system's Commonwealth. Difference is they had more episodes per season, they had likable characters, and you saw the ship in the first freaking episode. Probably the first damn scene they have the Andromeda Ascendant. Oh god, this is going to be a painful, 10 weeks, something. Maybe they'll crap out another season. Who knows if they, you gotta wonder just what kind of masochistic streak is CBS in for if they renew this thing for another year. Yeah, and just getting Kurtzman's recent statements. They all seem to have a minimum of 7 episodes, 7 seasons. Wrong. A maximum of 7 seasons. Look at the list of this. Go to Netflix like you usually do, Alex, to do your research, and look at how many seasons. Original series, 3 seasons. Animated, technically 2, but it was only 22 episodes. Next Gen, 7 seasons. Voyager, 7 seasons. DS9, 7 seasons. Enterprise, 4 seasons. So no, it's not a minimum of 7, it's a maximum of 7. Because apparently, I'm thinking, because the year they canceled Next Generation, they canceled a bunch of stuff at Paramount. L.A. Law got canceled. Arsenio Hall show got canceled. They were clearing out sound stages. And I think they also figured that more than 7 seasons, you're going to have problems in home video. And that was just coming big at the time. It was no longer a matter of, syndicated rerun packages. Now it was home video and season sets. More than 7, you're going to have trouble trying to make those sales. And I think, like we've got NCIS, like first 4 seasons, they're doing their 18th season this year. And I think it's finally going to be their last, or they're going to maybe do around 20. But I think this season is going to be their last one on NCIS. And that's going to be 18 box sets. Can you imagine the whole season set, the whole series set of that one? That's a bookshelf by itself. But, yeah. By all rights, so this is probably going to be the last season of Discovery because of all the thing. They may quietly just let Picard die and not make an announcement, like Section 31. No one said anything about that for a while. But there's no thing because of the current circumstances that nobody wants to insure Patrick Stewart. The man has high risk category written all over him. He is in his 80s, and if you look at the death rates, most of them are elderly and pre-existing conditions. And Sir Patrick is not the most spry guy in the world anymore. Okay, looking a little shaky, and you can only do so much, where one guy is sitting in his living room in Yorkshire and everyone else is in LA. So Picard is probably not coming back. I don't care what kind of plans they have. It's like you can't insure your star. There are 2 things a production must have covered: insurance and catering. They got to be covered for anything that might happen. They got to be fed. Otherwise, you ain't got a production. But this was dumb. Okay. Burnham is still a moron, but as a giggly type thing, it is cringe-inducing all through this. So, buckle up, kids. It's going to be a very comfortable ride. PayPal, Patreon, etc., down below. And just a little personal update. I am on the verge of basically the same job I had down in Orlando, shuttling rental cars around, but it's going to take a while to go through the process. Which actually gives me a little more hope, because it was very quick getting hired down in Orlando. So there's to be a little more sure there, since it's going to be working for Enterprise themselves, and not through a subsidiary. But once that gets settled up, then things should be changing rather radically. Hopefully, there's been an indicator or 2 that we might actually get some very quick help in getting the car working, which would be very useful because they don't provide bus passes or EcoPass for the. So getting myself out to the airport is my own problem. So that'd be very useful if we can get the car working on. But again, on that front, PayPal down below. But that's pretty much it. It's just, another year of Kurtzman's stupidity. And, catch you later.